Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi.
And today we're going to be reviewing Full Throttle by Freedom Freeze.
Whoa! This is a very kind of kiddish-looking racing game about motorcycles, which they keep calling mopeds on the back, even though those are clearly motorcycles. The difference between a moped is that your legs sit right behind the engine, and whereas on a motorcycle, your legs straddle the sides of the engine. Your science lesson for today.
Important facts for your driving.
Anyway, we're going to show you how this game plays, a little racing betting game, and then we'll give you our thoughts. Here's the setup for a game of Full Throttle. Very simple setup. 6 motorcyclists set over here on the side. Nobody controls any particular one of them. The other component here is a deck of cards that's going to be comprised of cards of the different color motorcyclists plus a number of steps they're going to move. Based on the player count, you're going to flip over a certain number of cards. So let's say it's a 4-player game. First player has the spark plug over here. Orange 1. You would move the orange motorcyclist 1 space. They can't do it without landing in other areas, so they don't go. Green 1 also won't go. But hey, orange 3, they can move 1, 2, 3 steps. And so they're out into the lead. They've started their first lap. It's a race to finish 3 laps. Orange is going to move 2 more spaces here. Yellow is now going to move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. You're going to continue in a 4-player game, for example, until 7 cards have been flipped over. And here we go. Red's going to move 1 space. Now at this point, after 7 cards have been revealed, they're all swooped up. And then the first player, who has the spark plug here, is going to look through them and going to take one of these as their bet. Who they're betting on is going to win the race. So they're going to pick this one here. The other players will then each pick a card. And then the remaining ones are going to go onto the bottom of the deck. And then the next turn begins. The players will hold onto their cards secretly. And then you're going to continue to move motorcycles if they can be moved. And then you're going to, after you reach the 7 of them, poor Red just cannot seem to get a break. 1, 2 in this case. Black is going to move on the outside track, which is unfavorable, but he would rather move than not move. And so you're going to keep going until 3 motorcyclists have finished 3 laps. Once they've finished all of the laps here, then as they continue and do whole laps, they'll move their markers forward. And once they reach the end, then whoever's in first place will come down here, second place will go there, and then third place will be here. At the end of the game, however many cards of those colors you have held onto as bets are going to earn you points. 4 points per first place, 3 points per second place, and 2 points per third place. Also, there's 2 sides of the board here. So you can see on this side, there's not the outside paths that are disadvantageous, but there are, if you land here, +2 movement spaces. So, and a few choke points. That's the whole game.
So as you can see, this game is very simple. There's not a lot to it, not a lot of rules, not a lot even going on, maybe.
Not a lot of choices.
It feels like a kid's game. It basically is a kid's game, but it is not.
It looks like a kid's game.
It is not marketed as a kid's game. In fact, it says 14 plus on the box, which,
It's for product safety testing reasons, right? If you want to market something as like a 6 plus, you have to do a lot more, can children swallow the components of this game kind of testing. And those little discs, a child could choose to swallow those if they wanted to.
So we played this with our child as a kid's game, and she enjoyed it. She found it to be very enjoyable. But as an adult, wanting to make real decisions and feel like those decisions are more than a gentle nudge in a slight direction, this is not that game.
No, and I think that's the thing, is that the cover of it, the appearance of it, the silliness of it, even the silliness of the rule book as it's explained to you. It says, we have this imaginary character named Ronald. Ron is going to ask, can a moped move backwards? No, Ronald, a moped cannot move backwards. Everything about it is very kiddie. So I think if you go into it with that mindset, and if you're buying it for that kind of an audience, you might have fun with it. I find the ending of this game to be fun. As you are getting into the last lap, you have a pile of cards already pulled aside, and you're excited to see, okay, am I going to get to draw from these last cards, or are all 3 going to cross the line? Oh no, we don't get to draw these ones because the race ended. That's an okay moment of fun and a little bit of tension.
Sure. And I definitely think that once you're towards that last lap, you feel like, oh, the cards that I pick aren't going to be back in the deck. It's not going to matter. So I can take anything of the colors that I want. There's people in the lead. They're probably going to make it to the end, I hope. I feel like there's information to make your betting on. And so a lot of those final laps may give you points, but they're not going to make it win or lose because so much that you did the previous 2 laps really matters.
Yeah, so obviously, the obvious thing about it is whatever cards you took out of the deck early on as your bets, they will cycle through. You'll go through that deck multiple times, but you're taking that card out so that motorcycle is less likely to move more in the future.
So you want to take lower cards, invest in, the ones, not the 3s.
The choices are very obvious in this game, and it's fine. It's fine to have a game where stuff is very obvious. For me, the issue is that it's just not fun until about that last chunk of the race, you know?
A little bit on the fiddliness of the game. Every time you move around the track, you have to move the little discs from, round 1 to round 2 to round 3, depending on which lap they're on. And that is a little bit of an extra thing you have to remember. It's a very quick game, and so as you're moving racers and stuff, you're like, oh, I have to remember now. We crossed this line.
Oh,
now I
Blue's
have to
on the
move.
3rd lap now. I forgot to move it. Everyone thought it was on the 2nd lap.
Right, but there's 6 other things on top of it, so now I have to pull those off, move it one space, put them back on the other space. It's a little fiddly. Also, the stickers don't quite fit the cars.
Small production issue, yes.
It's small. That's not going to make or break my score. It's a little thing.
It's funny, but I will say this, right? We are supposed to review games on what they are, not what they are not. But when I opened this box and I saw the components, cards with numbers on them, matching colors, I assumed this was going to be a completely different game. Namely, one that had choices, like you get to play them out of your hand to move them, or play them face down to invest in them, or something like that to bet on them. Mm-hmm. And so, even just off of that initial, like, ooh, I wonder what this game is, compared to what it is, I was kind of disappointed. Because in that small moment, I was like, I wonder if this is how the game works. So, let's talk final scores, right? So reviewing the game for what it is, not what it is not, what I assumed that it could have been.
And reviewing it as a game for adults, because that is how it was marketed, not as a children's game.
Right. It's fun enough, it's simple enough you can play it with kids. Even then, it still feels like there's not enough decisions. So I'm giving this one a 5. I think that the strength of this one is that it is dead simple. But of course, it's kind of lacking in what you can do. People take for granted that Camel Up, for example, has some real rules to it. It's not just something you can play with your kids willy-nilly. You know, there's rules where you put your tiles and how you bet and everything like that. This one is kid playable. Even at that, I think you'll get tired of playing it with your kid as a parent. And playing it with other adults, not enough action happens quick enough, so that's why for me it's a 5.
I'm also going to give it a 5, so there you go. That is the right answer.
Yes, yeah.
As we know. If it's the same, it's right. No, but I feel very much the same, that there's not a lot of decisions, and the decisions that you have don't feel like they directly affect your future and your outcome. You start betting on just no information, and if that works out, that works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so I'm giving this game a 5.
Okay, there you go. Freedom and Freeze. I was hoping a little bit more. Not to say that he phoned it in. Haha, I'm going with the F.
The PHF? Something
Close enough.
There.
Yep. So anyway, that's our thoughts on Full Throttle. My name is Chris Yi.
I'm Wendy Yi.
Thanks for coming by the Dice Tower.